Hey YouTube, welcome to Amritsar. I'm hoping I'm saying that right. To any of my Indian viewers who are probably horrified by my way of pronouncing. I can't pronounce anything in Indian, sorry, I can't. It's the city where the Golden Temple is, which is the reason I came here. And as you guys might be able to tell, I actually have a cold. Um, which is my own fault because everybody I had talked to was like, "You're going to India during monsoon season? That's crazy." And I'm like, "Yep, that's the only time I can go." So it's been like a non-ending. It's hot and you're sweating, and then you're in the air conditioning, and then you go outside and you're hot and you're sweating, and then a monsoon comes and you get totally soaked. Then you're in the AC, and then you're back and sweating, and then you're back in the AC, and it's kind of really messing my system up. On the bright side, though, I have had no problems with the food. Everybody else is always like, "Oh, you have to really be careful in India about the food and the water," and that I've had no problems with whatsoever. So I guess I'm lucky. Um, yeah. I don't know, you guys. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to make the whole 2 months in India that I wanted to. It's honestly, it's really wearing me out being here. Um, I've been to other countries before that have like a high level of like poverty and all that kind of stuff, and but this is the longest I've ever been consistently in a country like this. I think the longest I've ever been in a country like this in the past was Egypt, and I was there for a week and a half. And now I'm going on 3 weeks in India already, and I've actually had like anxiety attacks the last like 4 days in a row. For the most part, the only thing that's really wearing me out is just the people. Um, Not like because they're bad people or whatever, but there's just such a mass of people everywhere, and there's just no order to anything. I mean, it's just like pushing and shoving and cutting and here comes a car and there comes a car and here comes somebody walking towards you and then here's a woman with a baby asking you for money and then here are the people who want pictures of you and then it's just it's just constant. Like the moment you leave the hotel, it's just like people, pushing, shoving. And I'm already not somebody who likes crowds. I've kind of have a little bit of a phobia of like crowds, and a lot of people. I've always been somebody who needs a lot of me space. I almost had a nip slip there. Sorry about that. So it's the last couple of days I was in Delhi again. Delhi right now for the first part of my trip is kind of always the starting point because there's a lot of things around Delhi I want to see. So I'm always like going to those places and going back to Delhi for like a day and then going to the next place, coming back to Delhi for a day. And especially in Delhi, like the metro, it's just. And after this, my next stop is Mumbai. And I was told Mumbai it's even worse with people and just craziness. So I'm really. I don't know because originally I was like, oh, I might stay 2 to 3 months, but now I'm kind of like going, oh, I don't know if I can cut it. Like I really don't. It's really is a little bit too much for me. And yeah, also the poverty and the yeah, just the garbage and the smells and it's just a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot for me. I think, um, and I'm not saying this in a oh there are countries like this and judgmental way. That's how I mean. This is just me saying that it's difficult for me. And today I actually saw this guy and he had no torso and he was like sitting in a box like pushing himself and I don't know. I don't know how I feel about stuff like that. Like, yeah, I don't know. I've just seen a lot of things that for me are just very difficult to handle. Um, you know, and also with, like I said, the garbage. And I saw this lady today who like she peed, and then she went maybe like half a foot away from where she just peed, and she started washing out her vajayjay with the puddle water that was like surrounded by garbage and stuff, you know? And for me, that was so. It's hard for me on so many levels. It's hard. It's not just hard for me just because it's hard. It's hard to see. I mean, this would be hard for anybody to see, but it's also hard for me because then it always this is it's one of those things where I always kind of then have this massive amount of anguish and guilt towards how spoiled I am and how spoiled we are in the West in general, and how ungrateful we are for all the things that we have, and how easy so many things come for us. Maybe because we are do have luck in that our governments take better care for us and all this kind of stuff. And it's just really, I don't know, I can't, for me it just really tears at my heartstrings because I'm really like, wow, God, I can't believe just like a day ago I was complaining because XYZ, and it's so superficial and it's so stupid, and then I see things like that and it's just, I don't know. I've said this to like friends. I don't know if I ever mentioned this on my. I feel like Westerners, you know, like Europe, North America, Canada, stuff like that. I guess Canada's part of North America. Sorry. I almost feel like they should be forced every 2 or 3 years by their government to go to countries like India or Egypt or Kenya or something like that and really see how lucky they are and how lucky we are, just to kind of bring a few things back into focus. You know, I don't know. I really don't. Oh, you know what did happen though? Because I told you guys like this was supposed to be kind of a spiritual journey for me, and so 2 days ago I was walking down this street in Delhi. It's called Main Bazaar, and this guy like grabbed me and pulled me aside. He was like, basically told me he was a guru, and I am a suspicious nature by nature. I'm a suspicious nature by nature. Does that make sense? Yeah. I'm a suspicious person by nature. And just because, like I've been saying the last couple of days, I've really had a lot of anxiety attacks and stuff, and just really, I've actually spent more time in my hotel the last couple of days than I have actually gone out sightseeing, which is not normally who I am. Um, and then he was saying how like he could tell that I'm searching for something, and he wanted to know what I think it is, and I was obviously not able to answer because I don't know what I'm searching for. And he was like, "Oh, I can see your aura," and I'm like, a lot of you guys are probably already rolling your eyes, but let me finish the story. So he was like, "Oh, I can see your aura," and he was like, "Oh, do you want me to write down what I see?" And I was just like, "Okay." So he writes down what he sees, and he talks to me about a little something, and then he says, "Oh, pick a color." And then I picked a color, and then that's the color that he wrote down that he said my aura was. So I mean, like that's a, I mean, am I saying, oh God, he's a seer, he's a whatever, like no, but it did seem like a really strange coincidence to me. Um, and then he was saying that men in love are not going to make me happy. I think he said men in love are going to make me happy. The thing is, like, it was a busy street and his English wasn't so good, so I wasn't 100% sure what he was saying. But I think that's what he said. And that also kind of was like, oh. Um, so I'm not going to lie, like, a part of me was kind of tempted to really. But then he kind of was like, oh, come into my shop. And that's when it started getting kind of sketchy to me because I was like, okay, now it's turning into, like, you know, you want money and all this kind of stuff. And I guess in my head, I just feel like somebody who was really going to lead me into a path of enlightenment would do it for free, wouldn't try to make money off of it. But at the same time, I have to admit I've kind of been thinking about that every once in a while. Because I was kind of like, I mean, that is the reason I came to India, is to like have some kind of spiritual moment, and then God or Allah or Vishnu or whoever place somebody in my path that might have led me there, and then what do? I reject it, you know, and which is one of those things I struggle with all the time anyway, because I feel like I've a lot of times asked to meet like a really good guy, and then I met good guys, and then I rejected them. So I'm kind of like, well, at some point in time, if there is a creator or a creatoress or whatever, they're probably going to be like, all right, you know what? We've tried to help you out, and you're just not open to it, so it's your own fault. So that was kind of a funny story of what happened. Oh, and then I looked because I wanted to do a tour of Bollywood when I'm in Mumbai. And they actually disgusted me so bad when I was looking up tours. They actually offer slum tours. And I was like, that is so demented and disgusting to me, the fact that they offer something like that. I don't know. That to me is just wrong on so many levels. And how anybody could possibly want to see, like, just the parts of the slums I've seen just by walking by or like on the trains is enough to scar me for the rest of my life. Like, I don't understand how anybody could possibly actually want to tour that. And it makes me so mad when I see those slums, because to me it's one of those moments where I really feel like, the rich, this is what has come out of the wealthy, the 1% or whatever, the 10%, however much you want to contribute to the wealth, who are making it more and more difficult for other people to achieve a certain amount of education. It's kind of like I feel like education is something that is becoming harder and harder to achieve for people in almost every country, and so many of the problems that exist in every country are because of a lack of education. Like, I see so much of that here with, like, especially, like I keep saying, with the garbage. I'm kind of like, these people have no concept of, drinking out of a puddle or a wannabe lake right next to somebody defecating into it, and another person throwing garbage into it, and then dirty animals swimming in it. Like, there's just no comprehension of it. And it'd be so easy to change something like that if there was just more investment on educating these people. But that is really one of those things where I feel like I really can understand when a lot of people have anger and towards people of wealth, even when I see it here, because I mean, this is another one of those countries where there's just such a huge gap between wealth and poverty, and I'm lucky in that I come from a country where there still is a middle class. I mean, a lot of Germans are now complaining too that the middle class is disappearing, and it's disappearing everywhere. But relative to a lot of countries, we still have a fairly strong middle class, and I'm lucky enough to say that I'm a part of that middle class. And but I don't know, there's just something really wrong with the way the world is working right now, and the distribution of wealth, and yeah, I don't know. I don't really know what the point of this video is. It's just I'm really worn down. Um, and it makes me really sad when, because I know a lot of these things are really just affecting me very harshly because I am from Europe and we don't see these things on a regular basis. So to me, it seems very like, whoa, what the hell? What am I seeing? What is going on? You know, but the fact that some of these things are so commonplace here to where they don't even garner attention anymore, I think freaks me out even more. The fact that little, especially when I see it with the kids. I mean, when I see the street kids, and that is just so. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. So I don't know. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to pull off a whole 3 months in India. I might have to shortcut. I mean, I'm definitely gonna stay until I do the thing where I shave my head because that was like the number one thing I wanted to do in India. So I'm definitely gonna do that. But maybe I'll cheat and take a flight home after that if I don't. Yeah. Because I'm also not reaching any enlightenment. I can tell you guys that too. Like I wish I could say that I've had like all kinds of crazy deep thoughts well, since I've been here, and found my path with Buddha or whatever. But that hasn't happened either. Although it's something that's really interesting in India is there's a whole different class of tourists here from what I'm used to in other countries. Actually, maybe no, I should say it's differently. It's interesting when you travel a lot that you see tourists looking a certain way in different destinations. Like the kind of tourists you see in Rome and in Paris, they're very shishi tourists. Those are people who care about fashion and trends and staying in the nicest hotels and the best boutiques and having their, cafe at the open air place or whatever, and it's like, and they're dressed really nice. And those are the kind of tourists you see. Not everybody, of course, but you see a lot of tourists like that. And here now in India, I see like all these Hare Krishnas, like all these people dressed. If I see a tourist here, more than likely they have like those pajama pants that I guess we associate with Indians on, um, and like the little buns or whatever. And it's actually kind of funny to me because I feel like a lot of the Indian people here, they look at me and they think I'm one of them, and I'm kind of like, I'm not one of those people. Like I don't like you know grow my own weed and do like all that kind of stuff. Like I know I look the part right now because I have dreads, but that's that's not who I am. Um, and it also makes me wonder what Indians, especially Indians who never get the chance to leave India, think about white people, because they're kind of like, why are all these white people coming over here and dressing in like pajama pants, things that we don't even wear anymore, and being all Hare Krishna and ba 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 ba, and it's like stuff that we don't even. It's kind of like they look all dirty and gross and grungy, and they're smoking weed all the time. So I'm wondering if like people who live in India kind of look at white people and go, God, they're so weird. Like I would think they're more sophisticated or something. Um, all right. All right. Yeah, that's really it. I guess this is more just like an update video. Hopefully, you guys are all doing well. And take care and be safe.